Hey, hey, it's your boy Nate. I read books because reading is sexy, and if you're not reading, you're not sexy. Go get sexy. Today I'm going to the Seoul International Book Fair, and how apt, I thought, why not do the mid-year freakout tag? This is what my reading year has been like, and we got, look at this nice little stack of books to talk about. It's June, halfway through the year, really spooky, because I'm just like, how is it already halfway through the year? I just feel like my reading year hasn't been like that great in comparison to last year. I read 177 books last year, and I've definitely slowed down this year, mostly because I've actually been disappointed by some of the 2025 releases, but also I've just been incredibly busy. That's due to work, but also more community-based things. I'm happy to say that I've been more involved with community and reading based in Seoul here. Given that life has been revolved around books more so than last year, reading has definitely slowed down. But quick stats. I'm at 48 books right now, which is okay. My reading goal for every year is to read 52 books. That's a book a week, so I think that's manageable, and I think we're okay. We're okay. So we'll make goal, but I think we could do better. 74% of my reading is fiction, which I think is pretty apropos, and then 26% is nonfiction. So maybe we'll do more nonfiction for the latter half of the year. And if anyone must know, my most read author this year is Banana Yoshimoto, which doesn't surprise me, but slightly does, because I think it says something about the kind of mood that I'm in and the kind of books that work for me when I'm in that mood. So if you are the morose type, I think Banana Yoshimoto really springs those sad boy feels out. Yeah, it's sad boy summer over here. Okay, it's question time. Let's get through this. Best book of the year that I've read so far, I think has to go to Claudia Pinero's Elena Knows. Did this as a buddy read with Ben Reads Good. Had a fab time. I read this very early in the year. I think January we did it, and really set off the reading year for me. Nothing has lived up to the very experience of this book. It's fast-paced, does what it needs to do, covers themes in very layered and textured ways. It's about Elena, a mother whose daughter Rita is dead, murdered. We don't know. It's all about trying to find the truth, dealing with loss, memory, and the fraught relationship between mother and daughter. Pulls at all the heartstrings in all the right ways. Does what I love. Sneaks in politics without it being overtly political, but hammers you in the same immense way as, say, looking at the news and feeling so hurt. I've been recently thinking about how politics is involved in books, where we have something so fundamentally entertaining but makes us think. Loved this so much. Best sequel that I've read so far, if I'd have to predict, it would have to be the second part to On the Calculation of Volume 2 by Solvej Balle. I've only read the first one and I did not like it. I'll talk about this more later, but I've heard that a lot of people have enjoyed Volume 2 a lot more, and I think I might too, based on what people have said. It's about a woman who relives November 18th, and in that mundanity and monotony, she experiences time in a way that is obviously stuck, but in that is given so much time to think, ponder, and allows her thoughts to overwhelm her. And when that happens, how do you create a reality for yourself? How do you stitch together a reality that works for you? Not gonna lie, I thought the translation for Volume 1 was kind of meh, and I thought the themes surrounding time and water and everything just felt kind of loosey-goosey to me in a way that should have worked, but I just thought it was lazy. But big hopes for Volume 2. Need to get my hands on it. New releases that I haven't read yet but want to get to is Notes to Joan by Joan Didion. Famously put out a Joan Didion tier list right before the release of this book. From what I understand, it's a journal that Joan Didion kept notes from her therapist and her internal feelings. And I know there's controversy around how you publish this posthumously, something so private and interior. But for mega fanboys like me and a Didion plagiarist, I mean, she did taught me how to write. I just think curiosity overwhelms me, and she's the love of my life. She's meant a great deal to me. The opportunity to read something so private perhaps will reveal how she kept interior life versus the fiction that she was writing as well as the nonfiction she was writing. There's always this great defense, this barrier that she has between herself and the world at large. She always puts things at a distance, and I think that's why when people sometimes approach her writing, it seems cold and detached in a way. I think this would illuminate why and what those interior thoughts were. I'm very keen on it. Another book that I'd like to get to is Yiyun Lee's Things in Nature Merely Grow. This is a grief memoir surrounding the 2 deaths of her son, who passed away by suicide. I know this one will wreck me, but just to experience that grief twofolds, I just don't know what that is like. 1, from a mother's perspective, 2, from a writer's perspective, and 3, just as a person's perspective. If there's like one book that'll make me cry this year, that'll probably do it for me. But yes, really want to get to that as well. Okay, most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. The Four Spent the Day Together by Kraus. This is out by Scribner October 7th. Don't really want to know much about this, but I've always wanted to read I Love Dick, but I have this as an e-arc on NetGalley, and I would like to get to it. Yeah, heard amazing things about I Love Dick as sort of a cult classic, and just need to get to her writing. Another release is Lost Lambs. This is out by FSG January 13th of next year, so very, very later in the year. I love Madeline Cash. I just love her brain and her sense of humor. Yeah, she exists in sort of the Dime Square writers group, collectively with Clash books. I just think they're the only apparent literary movement that we have, and I think they just capture the very minutiae and nausea of what it's like to live in such an absurd world right now, but still make it fun and snappy and enjoyable, but also sweet and saccharine in its moodiness as well. But yeah, just love Madeline for her wacky mind. She's just a lot of fun. Biggest disappointment. We've already talked about it, but it's volume 1 of On the Calculation. I felt like this was hyped, and this seems like the kind of book that I would like. I just think it was really clunky in terms of a translation and the latter half of the book. It just didn't do it for me. I'm super glad that it works for others, but I don't know. I honestly think Groundhog Day, in all of its principles and what it seeks out to answer, is just done better in that and in such a better time frame than, say, this that will go on for 7 volumes. I just like, why do that? And I just don't think the narrator in this book is strong enough to uphold the themes that it's exploring. And if you need 6 other books to characterize a person, I just don't think that payoff is really that great. Any good writer would establish time, place, or person very well on the first page. I think had too high expectations for this book, given that it was shortlisted for International Booker. Biggest surprise goes to Dancing on My Own by Simon Wu. I'm going to talk about this a little more later as well, but sometimes there are books out there that are written just for you and all about you, and this just surprised me because it's everything that I love about literature, everything I love about art and life, and it just interweaves it so beautifully in this collection of essays surrounding culture, art, clubbing, being an Asian American, tethered between the echelons of the high art world and big establishments, while also incredibly working middle class and having to exist in the two spaces. How do you exist in those spaces at the same time? And yeah, I just thought Simon Wu's writing is just so delicate in its approach to interweaving everything that I love about writing and reading and just art, how to better interweave art into life. This was just such a nice surprise, and I love this greatly. It's a collection of essays about everything that I've just talked about through the tunes of Robin and her 2018 album, Honey. Favorite new author goes to Daisuke Shen. I received this as an ARC from Clash Books, again about the wacky world, while also dealing with today's minutiae. Vague Predictions and Prophecies is a collection of short stories. Yeah, just put my head upside down and made me really think about like what is story, and just made me surprised. As I read so much, I feel so jaded. I'm less surprised, but this one, and Clash Books and everything that they do, I'm always surprised. I'm always surprised what the short story form can do, what it can achieve. Yeah, and it makes me so happy that there are just like writers out there really exploring form and narrative and surprise. Surprise! It's a collection of short stories surrounding Asian and Asian American characters, dealing with a myriad of ways in which desire structures the self, language, and love, questioning the very nature of human connection. There's this constant loneliness in each of the characters, and they try and find their way not out of misery, but through misery to find something more hopeful. And with each end, it doesn't end particularly how you would think it would, and those are the surprises I'm talking about, but also the structures of surprises. For example, one of the short stories is about a lesbian angel that is rejected by God, and it's written in a less Spectorian fashion that just made me gasp, and it's things like that that make me excited about literature. So, Daisuke Shen, whatever they put out next, I'd be really excited to pick up. Newest fictional crush goes to A Guy with Two First Names, written by a guy with two first names, John Williams, Butcher's Crossing. This is about Will Andrews, and it's literally just a coming-of-age story about a boy who goes out west and finds himself and finds out what love means. If a man changes over time. Everything is musky, there's a lot of buffalo involved. It's wet, cold, humid, very green, and fresh. Anybody ever played Oregon Trail on PC? That's what this reminded me of. I just thought it was a fun mood piece. Don't love it more than Stoner, but I appreciate John Williams' craft as a writer. And yeah, beautiful strokes of brilliance here and there. Newest favorite character, we're going to return to Dancing on My Own by Simon Wu. Though this is nonfiction, I like this because it's the projection of the working middle-class Asian American wannabe club kid academic. That's literally me. I am my new favorite character. Next up, book that made me cry. I haven't really cried a lot this year. I don't know if that's good or bad, but if there's a book that really saddened me, it would be James Baldwin's No Name in the Street. This is a memoir surrounding two essays. One about Baldwin's upbringing and his return to America after living as an expat in Paris. And then the latter essay is about the Black experience and the politics of America and seeing if things have changed. There's talk of Malcolm X, reflections on him. Yeah, reflections on the Black experience. But I'm really saddened by this because in the epilogue, he talks about how this is a book that continues to be written because not much has changed. And sad to say, with the state that America is in right now and ICE raids and such, and in here he talks about like living in the McCarthy era and living in a fascist regime in such a way, it just makes me sad that history continues to echo itself and it continues to echo hurt, and I don't know what to do with that. And so by the end, I did tear up a little bit because I'm just really saddened about the direction America is headed towards. I love America. I love California. I love parts of being an American, but the government itself and what it believes in and what it's doing right now, I don't know. I don't know how to speak outside of the echo chamber, but I don't know how to tell people that the world is hurt and people are hurt, and I just hope that we hit some wake-up call at some point collectively, that there are no more enemy lines. I hope that the divided nation that we are, red versus blue, I just hope that we can go back to having different ideals, but still be able to communicate with each other and create community. But yeah, I don't know how to do that outside of living in the echo chamber. And honestly, I don't know how Baldwin did it, how he was able to voice so much. Brilliant work. I loved this to death, and it's soaked in highlighter ink. So please do this if you get the chance. Book that made you happy. This is an easy pick. It is The Book of Delights by Ross Gay. It's about finding light in the everyday, really taking a sad day and turning on its head and finding optimism in each day. And you know what? Yeah, optimism for the longest time thought it was dead, but we should have it, and it's important. We should keep it because it does bring levity to the days. And listening to Gay track his days through joy, I realized, you know what? There's this interesting leverage when you're morose all the time, singling out those little bits of joy and making you realize that you are not just a single emotion, that you are a range of emotions and a container of collectivity, that you realize time is spatial and so are feelings, and yeah, how we move through the world is based on that range, but allowing that range and seeing through that range. So really scoping out and seeing the world from not such a concentrated and saturated kind of way, but like, yeah, just distance yourself, think before you act kind of thing. And yeah, just appreciated this. As much as I thought it was grating at times, because I was just like, oh god, really? I think my Goodreads review will tell you more, but I appreciate it for what it is. And it did make me happy. It made me laugh at times too. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received is Red Sword by Bora Chung, translated by Anton Her. Proudly presented by DB Books. Love DB Books here, based in Seoul. Doing lots for readers in Korea, but also great for expats. So very happy to have this. This is by Hanford and Starr. Really love this because one, French flaps, and two, these end pages that are translucent. It's just such a beautiful book. I just love also the red folio here and on the back as well. Oh, that translucent end paper is just great. I love it dearly because it is signed by Bora and Anton. Love them, they're a great duo. This is, I don't know what this is about. Literal fog of war on a disputed planet. A woman is thrust into battle, forced to fight in her captor's war. That's it. That's all I want to know. Would like to get to this soon. Pages feel great. They're a nice, stiff, sturdy thing. Stands up on its own. That's how you know it's good. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. She doing that all by herself. Look, Mom. No hands. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I told myself more Sontag and more Mishima. But I would like to say I do have Ways of Seeing by John Berger. I've been thinking about how to involve art more into life and how it isn't a thing that should lose money based on its merits. I always feel like there's very little money for the arts. And why is that? But art is so inherent to life and so inherent to culture. I think when you have ICE raids and getting rid of immigrants, that is a loss of culture. America is nothing without its immigrants. America has no culture without its immigrants. Immigrants brought culture to America. So with these ICE raids, what America is literally saying is that it does not care for culture, it does not care for its people, and it doesn't care to have anything of value. Culture is value. And so I thought, what are the great thinkers that have incorporated art into life so easily, or made it seem so easy? John Berger, Ways of Seeing. But also Sontag. I think critical thinking is sexy, and people should be reading critically more. And I have always loved Sontag's way of presenting her person into personal essay, just the way that her mind moves through certain thoughts. It's good construction and criticism, and I think we need to get back to that. So I miss voices like this, and I miss when we would have public daytime shows or night talk shows where you would have guests like Baldwin or Sontag or Norman Mailer or these people and just intellectually stimulate your mind amidst, like, I don't know, the garbage that you have on TV. And sure, I mind garbage from time to time, but critical thinking, guys, critical thinking. And I do want to get to more Mishima. I here have Forbidden Colors. Simon, Savage Reads, when are we doing this? We gotta do this. It's gay. It's June. It's Pride Month. Let's go gay. Oh, did I talk about, I don't need to talk about this, right? It's just gay. That's it. Oh, yes, I do also have an ARC of Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Yeah, do I make this into a reading vlog? Would people enjoy my thoughts on this? This is not my genre at all, but I read everything, I really do. So let me know, folks. Do I do it? Alice Law has only ever made one goal: to become one of the brightest minds in the field of magic. Sounds like a lot of fun. I love magic, y'all. I do. But yeah, wizards, witches, let's go. Oh yes, and before the end of the year, I would like to do a big book and a classic, so I did think about Dr. Zhivago by Boris Pasternak. This is 600 pages, y'all. I don't know if, anyway, this is a twofer. It is a classic and a big boy, so I thought, let's do this. Or, do I do something smaller? Look at that. That's doable. That's doable, because this brain, very small. So, I thought I'd do this, maybe. Maybe I do both. Maybe I do both. Who knows? And then just to throw some other ones out there, I have these as ARCs on NetGalley. I do have to get to the Mobius book by Catherine Lacey. This is out June 17th by FSG. Oh, we're past that. So I need to get to that real soon. Autobiography of X, I think it is. Really loved everyone's thoughts on that. Piqued my interest into Catherine Lacey. So I'd like to get to her work through this one. I also have An Oral History of Atlantis by Ed Park. This is out by Random House July 19th. I read Ed Park's, or I DNF'd it actually, his first novel. I think it was just doing too much. It could not contain everything that it wanted to achieve. Way too ambitious in terms of genre, style, and narrative structure. It's a collection of short stories, so I think this is a lot more doable, and I think I'd appreciate his work in a more shorter form. So we'll see. Whew, that was a lot. Big goal. Folks, let me know, how's your reading year going? Got any sexy reads? What is your top read of the year so far? I'd like to know. Love adding books to my never-ending TBR. As always, I'm a Blackwell's affiliate, so if you enjoyed me talking about any of these books today, please consider using my affiliate link downstairs. It helps me out a bit, helps the channel out a bit. Blackwell's offers free international shipping for expats like me, so if you're an expat, Blackwell's. Yeah, as always, be well, do good work, keep in touch. Okay, y'all, you know what time it is. Thumbnail time. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Also, if you all must know, I am like sweating over here. I got no pants on. Does anybody else film these videos without pants? Okay, how should we do this? I don't know what to do, guys. I'm out of thumbnail ideas. Was any of that fine? You let me know. Ugh, God. Why do I have so many books?